6,000 years ago, in the land of Mesopotamia, people pressed strange marks into wet clay. At first glance, they looked like simple scratches. But hidden inside those tablets was something extraordinary: the very first written words of humanity. What did they record? Laws, myths, or secrets that could change everything we know about our past? The oldest written records on Earth. Imagine a time before books, before paper, before even the idea of writing existed. Human knowledge lived only in stories told around fires, passed down by memory alone. Nothing was permanent. Nothing could outlive the storyteller. And then, around 6,000 years ago, something changed forever. The land of Sumer, in the heart of Mesopotamia. They took a lump of wet clay, pressed it flat, and with a sharpened reed, began carving tiny marks into its surface. At first, these marks were simple: little pictures to count sheep, to record jars of grain, to keep track of trade. But over time, they evolved into something revolutionary: cuneiform, the world's very first system of writing. These clay tablets became humanity's first memory bank. On them, the Sumerians recorded their laws, their myths, their gods, their dreams, and their daily struggles. For the first time in history, thoughts could survive beyond the person who thought them. Ideas could travel through time. When modern archaeologists uncovered these tablets thousands of years later, they realized they weren't just holding broken pieces of clay. They were holding the first pages of human history. The discovery of the Sumerian clay tablets, the story of these clay tablets, truly begins not in ancient times, but in the 19th century, when archaeologists first explored the ruins of Mesopotamia. Buried beneath layers of sand in what is now Iraq, they uncovered the remains of forgotten cities, Uruk and Eridu. Among the rubble, something remarkable appeared: thousands of small clay tablets, some cracked, some blackened by fire, others surprisingly well preserved. At first glance, they looked like ordinary shards of pottery. But as the dirt and dust were carefully brushed away, strange marks appeared: wedge-shaped symbols arranged with purpose. These were not mere scratches. They were the first written words in human history. When scholars began translating the tablets, they found astonishing records. Some were simple accounts, lists of grain, records of trade, and tax details. Others were far more extraordinary: myths of gods and heroes, detailed laws, and even a flood story that closely mirrors the tale of Noah in the Bible. For the first time, the voices of a people who lived over 6,000 years ago could speak again. Their stories, struggles, and achievements were no longer lost to time. Today, many of these tablets are preserved in museums like the British Museum and the Louvre, studied by historians and linguists eager to uncover the secrets of the Sumerians. Yet one question continues to baffle scholars: how could a civilization that appeared so suddenly in history be so advanced? How the Sumerians invented writing cuneiform. Imagine trying to remember everything about your life without a notebook, a phone, or even paper. How would you keep track of what you owned, what you owed, or the laws that governed your city? The Sumerians faced this exact challenge, and they found a solution that would change the world forever. They invented cuneiform, the first known system of writing. Using a sharpened reed, they pressed wedge-shaped symbols into wet clay tablets. These weren't just drawings or pictures. They were a language, a tool to communicate complex ideas and record history. At first, cuneiform was used for practical purposes, keeping track of grain, livestock, and trade. But over time, it evolved. The Sumerians began writing laws, religious texts, stories, and poetry. How suddenly, ideas could live beyond memory. Knowledge could travel across generations. The first scribes were the keepers of civilization itself. Some of the most famous texts, like the Epic of Gilgamesh, were written in cuneiform. These stories reveal a society that was thinking deeply about life, death, morality, and the gods. Every wedge-shaped mark on those clay tablets was more than a symbol. It was a window into the mind of humanity's first civilization. Cuneiform didn't just record history, it made history possible. Without it, we wouldn't know the laws, myths, or daily lives of the Sumerians. It was the first bridge between the human mind and the future. Secrets of daily life recorded in clay, the clay tablets of Sumer, weren't just for kings, gods, or epic stories. They were the diaries, account books, and legal records of everyday life. A rare window into how ordinary people lived over 6,000 years ago. Through these tablets, we learn about farmers and merchants, bakers and builders. Some tablets list grain rations, others record the sale of livestock, and a few even detail wages paid to workers. It's incredible to think that nearly 6,000 years ago, people were tracking supply chains and commerce just like we do today. Religion was also central to daily life. Tablets reveal offerings to gods, festivals, and rituals. Each city had its own temple, and these temples were not only places of worship, they were administrative centers. Banks and archives all meticulously documented in writing. Even personal disputes were recorded. Legal tablets show contracts, loans, and judgments for theft or property conflicts. The Sumerians understood the need for rules, fairness, and accountability. In many ways, they were the architects of civilization itself. These seemingly simple clay tablets tell a story far beyond words. They show a society that was organized, thoughtful, and deeply connected to both the spiritual and practical worlds. Every tablet preserved a moment, a decision, or a thought, letting us step into the shoes of people who lived thousands of years ago. Myths, gods, and the epic tales of Sumer. The Sumerians didn't just record daily life. They told stories that reached far beyond the mundane stories of gods, heroes, and the mysteries of existence. Their myths were woven into every aspect of their civilization, guiding law, society, and even science. At the center of it all were their gods, Anu, Enlil, Inanna, and Enki beings who controlled the sky, the earth, love, and wisdom. People believed the gods influenced everything, from the flooding of the rivers to the success of a harvest. Temples, rituals, and offerings weren't just spiritual. They were part of a complex system that connected humans with the divine. Then there were the epic tales, the most famous being the Epic of Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh, the king of Uruk, embarked on a journey that questioned life, death, friendship, and immortality. His adventures reveal a civilization that pondered the human condition, just as we do today. These myths also preserve mysteries. Some scholars suggest the Sumerians may have recorded astronomical knowledge or flood events that influenced later civilizations, including the stories found in the Bible. Others debate whether the gods were literal beings, symbolic representations, or something else entirely. Through these myths, the Sumerians left a legacy far beyond their cities. Their stories traveled through time, influencing cultures, religions, and ideas that still resonate over 6,000 years later. Every tablet, every wedge-shaped symbol carries a story. And the deeper we look, the more we realize the Sumerians were indeed just the first civilization. They were the first to write humanity's story, the legacy of the Sumerians, how their knowledge shaped the world the Sumerians may have lived thousands of years ago. but their impact still resonates today, from writing to mathematics, law to architecture. Much of what we consider foundational to civilization can be traced back to them. Cuneiform, their wedge-shaped writing system, became the blueprint for future languages and record-keeping. Without it, we might never have had literature, historical records, or legal systems. Their mathematical innovations, including the division of the circle into 360 degrees and the concept of place value, still influence geometry, astronomy, and timekeeping today. Even the concept of cities and organized governance began in Sumer. Uruk, Ur, and Eridu weren't just settlements. They were complex urban centers with temples, schools, and administration. Early experiments in urban planning that set a model for civilizations to come. Their myths, epic tales, and religious practices influenced later cultures across Mesopotamia, including the Babylonians, Assyrians, and Persians, and even left traces in biblical stories. The Sumerians didn't just invent tools and systems, they shaped human thought, culture, and imagination. When we look back at a Sumerian tablet or a ruined ziggurat, we see more than history. We see the birth of human civilization, the moment when people first began to record their thoughts, understand their world, and leave a legacy for generations yet to come. The Sumerians may have vanished as a people, but their ideas, stories, and innovations remain embedded in the world we live in today. Unsolved mysteries of Sumer, questions that still puzzle historians even after decades of study. The Sumerians continue to baffle modern historians and archaeologists. How did a civilization appear so suddenly in history with such advanced knowledge? How did they build massive ziggurats and create complex city systems without modern tools or machinery? Their tablets raise even more questions. Some records hint at astronomical observations far ahead of their time. Others suggest floods and environmental changes that could have reshaped the region. But the timing and scale remain debated. Then there's the Sumerian Kings List, a document that claims some rulers reigned for thousands of years. Are these simply myths, exaggerations, or hints at something deeper? Scholars argue endlessly, yet no consensus exists. Even their religious texts spark debate. Were their gods purely symbolic, or do some of their myths hint at knowledge or events we still don't fully understand? And the Epic of Gilgamesh, with its story of a great flood and quest for immortality, continues to inspire questions about humanity's earliest understanding of life and death. Every discovery seems to open more doors than it closes. The Sumerians left a civilization rich with knowledge, yet shrouded in mystery. And maybe that's exactly what makes them so captivating. Even 6,000 years later, their story continues to challenge our understanding of history. Why the Sumerians matter today? Lessons from the first civilization. The Sumerians may have lived thousands of years ago, but their story is far from ancient history. It's a blueprint for how civilizations grow, adapt, and leave a lasting impact. Their innovations in writing, mathematics, law, and city planning still influence the world today. The way they documented trade, governed cities, and created complex social systems laid the groundwork for every major civilization that followed. Without Sumer, there might be no Babylon, no Greece, no Rome, and no written record of human history as we know it. Their myths and epics still resonate. Tales like the Epic of Gilgamesh teach timeless lessons about friendship, mortality, and the human desire for meaning. Ideas that are as relevant today as they were millennia ago. Even the unsolved mysteries they left behind challenge us to think critically. How did they achieve so much so early? How can humans create and preserve knowledge that transcends time? These questions remind us that human curiosity and ingenuity are limitless. By studying the Sumerians, we don't just learn about the past. We gain insight into the foundations of human society, culture, and knowledge. Their legacy is a mirror, showing us where we came from, what we are capable of, and how the smallest ideas pressed into clay thousands of years ago can shape the world forever. The Sumerians are not just a chapter in history. They are the beginning of human civilization itself, the Sumerians enduring mysteries even after thousands of years. The Sumerians continue to captivate historians, archaeologists, and curious minds alike. Many aspects of their civilization remain puzzling, and some mysteries might never be fully solved. One enduring question is how they achieved so much so quickly. Within a few centuries, Sumer went from small villages to the world's first cities, complete with organized governments, trade networks, and monumental architecture. How did they develop mathematics, astronomy, and writing so early, with no prior civilization to guide them? The Sumerian kings list adds another layer of mystery. Some rulers are said to have reigned for thousands of years. Are these exaggerations, symbolic stories, or records of events we don't yet understand? Scholars debate endlessly, and the answers remain elusive. Even their religious texts challenge modern understanding. Were the gods purely myth, or do some of their myths encode advanced knowledge about the natural world? The flood stories, celestial observations, and epic tales like Gilgamesh suggest the Sumerians had a deep understanding of both life and the universe. Every tablet, every artifact, every ziggurat reminds us that history is not always as simple as it seems. The Sumerians left behind a civilization that was incredibly advanced, and the more we study them, the more questions arise. Perhaps that is their greatest legacy, a civilization that inspires awe, curiosity, and wonder even 6 millennia later. Conclusion: what the Sumerians teach us today. The Sumerians were more than just the first civilization. They were the architects of human history, the people who first transformed thought into written word, imagination into epic tales, and simple villages into organized cities. From cuneiform writing to mathematics, law, and astronomy, their innovations laid the foundation for everything that followed. Their myths and epics continue to inspire, reminding us that even thousands of years ago, humans were asking the same questions we do today. Who are we? Why are we here? How can we leave a mark on the world? The mysteries they left behind, the Sumerian kings list, the flood stories, and their astronomical knowledge challenge us to keep exploring, learning, and questioning. They remind us that knowledge is built step by step, often preserved in ways that can survive millennia. Studying the Sumerians is not just about understanding the past, it is about seeing the origins of civilization, appreciating human ingenuity, and realizing that even the smallest ideas, a mark pressed into clay thousands of years ago, can echo across time and shape the world forever. The Sumerians are gone, but their legacy remains, a testament to human curiosity, creativity, and the eternal drive to record our story. That's the story of the Sumerians, the world's first civilization, whose tablets, myths, and inventions still inspire us today. If you enjoyed this journey, like, subscribe, and comment below. Tell us which Sumerian mystery fascinated you most. For more amazing history and science stories, stay tuned to Decoding History and Science, where we uncover the secrets of humanity.